Welcome to Wake Up and Teach by Kelly Education, where we uncover inspiring stories and strategies for reimagining our nation's education workforce.
Hi, I'm Nicola Soares, President of Kelly Education, and this is your front row seat to the future of the education workforce on Wake Up and Teach. Today, we're diving into one of the most urgent and important challenges in education, building and sustaining a strong, engaged, and effective workforce. From teacher shortages to retention struggles, districts across the country are grappling with how to support educators in meaningful ways. Joining us is someone who's not only tackling these issues head-on, but helping to lead the charge across the state of South Carolina. Bill Briggman is the Chief Human Resource Officer for Charleston County School District, where he has served for over 2 decades, earning statewide recognition for his work. In this episode, we'll explore the innovative strategies CCSD is using to streamline hiring, raise pay, improve benefits, and build a culture where educators and staff can truly thrive. Plus so much more. Let's dive in. So Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and I have to tell you, I have really been looking forward to this conversation. Charleston County School District is a close partner of ours, and I know all of the work that the district does, so really excited to have you. So you've been with CCSD for over 2 decades. How has your vision for human resources in education evolved over that time?
That's an amazing question, actually, Nikki. Having been in the district for so long and worked with a number of superintendents and school boards from an HR perspective, just making sure that as a district and then one of the larger employers in the Charleston area, that we really value our employees. And we really made some major gains around compensation for staff, all staff, really more competitive. One of the big pieces for us has been the cost of housing, cost of living here. So I've really seen that evolve over time. That's just a huge piece of the whole HR initiative, to be able to recruit and then really retain talent.
I love the piece about compensation because, when we think about just teacher salaries in general, we certainly have a front row seat in terms of, the profession in itself being really challenged by that. And I know there's been a lot of focus on compensation. But what other sorts of other kinds of innovative hiring practices has Charleston County School District deployed? Because I know you guys have been recognized for this.
Yeah. Certainly. So really we'll talk specifically about teachers, of course. So we've seen such a decline over the last 8 or 9, 10 years of the number of young people who are considering the profession. We're seeing more teachers who are more experienced, who can retire and leave the profession. Here in South Carolina, once a teacher has 28 years of experience, they can retire. So that really has, with our kind of baby boomer generation, we're seeing more teachers that are exiting the profession. So really, when I look back at this over the last several years, it was 2018 that really sat down and started looking at who are our potential teachers. We've got teachers we want to retain, so really starting to look at compensation, but also the fact that we have 50,000 students in our system. Who wants to be a future teacher? How do we really get our young people back interested in the profession? And then really looking at alternative route certification programs. Around 2019, we actually got state approval to be one of the only school districts in South Carolina to offer our own alternative route program, which was huge for us. Only one other district, Greenville County, had that ability. Our program is called Teach Charleston. We started with about 6 certification areas, and now we pretty much can certify anyone and anything, to be honest. If we aren't able to do it through Teach Charleston, we have pathways in partnership with some colleges and universities here in the state. So that's made a huge impact on our ability to recruit. So most recently around compensation, when we look at, as I mentioned, our teachers at a certain point who are experienced can leave the system, our state of South Carolina really wasn't helping us with that, because the state of South Carolina sets the minimum teacher salary schedule that every district must pay their teacher by. And that particular schedule at one point went up to step 23, which would be 23 years of experience. At some point, it's increased, but our schedule not that long ago went to step 26.
Wow.
So you have teachers who are experienced in the classroom who aren't seeing that salary progression once they hit step 26. So we most recently went out to step 40, which allowed us to retain our more experienced teachers. So I saw a lot of teachers who were even considering retirement, staying in the classroom, because the higher that salary, the higher their 12 quarters are, it impacts their retirement long term. So when I mentioned that about the steps, all of that started to come about 3 years ago, just really taking a hard dive into teacher compensation. In the fall of 2022, after we had gone through the budget process that summer leading into the new school year, I was really reflecting on conversations I'd had with the board, some board members specifically, and every budget season, the HR person, the finance person come to the table, it feels like, and we can have different opinions on things, but we always come together and we work well together. And I'm a proponent for pay and compensation and making sure we're able to retain talent. And over the years, we'd had a number of salary studies, compensation, classification studies. We never really fully implemented them because of the cost. But going into that particular fall, I reflected on conversations that I'd had with board members around the fact that every year, you know, Mr. Briggman comes to us and asks for more money to raise teacher pay, to raise other employees' pay. And I thought, I don't need to be the voice anymore. I need teachers to be the voice. I need it to be done in a very professional way. I'm going to pull together a committee of our teacher leaders. And that was an amazing experience. I never really expected what happened to occur. I had about 30 teachers. At some point, one or two principals joined the team. My entire teacher recruitment staff joined the team. And we started meeting monthly. Our first big meeting was actually at our Chamber of Commerce. We had someone to talk about real estate, costs of housing, cost of living in Charleston. But the momentum that group of teachers just coming together and really having some very difficult conversations, because teachers shared their personal life as far as their finances, working second and third jobs, what all that looked like. And we just started putting together, how do we want the board to hear our voices, the teachers' voices? And so our first big win was that March of 2023, when I allowed this members from this committee to actually present to the board, and I kicked off the presentation, but to give the board an update on what this committee was actually doing, because the committee was getting a lot of press from the local media. We actually had a reporter who was part of the committee, and it was really just journaling everything that was going on. So that was amazing. But the first big win was around our more experienced teachers. We were paying teachers at that point, step 30. We had just gone from 26 to step 30 that fall. And the board said, well, Bill, we don't want to lose our experienced teachers. So what do we need to do? Part of the first recommendation was compensate them. Let's take the schedule out to step 40. And the board, it was unanimous. They said, bring it back to the next board meeting. We want to move this forward. So the committee just was so excited that their voices were being heard. So it just that momentum. And then I spent the next month or so out on the road going to meet with teachers who had a certain amount of experience in our database, to talk to them about what this meant for them and what we thought the salary schedule would look like for 2024, and what it looked like if they retired and wanted to come back into the classroom. Because our state has given a lot of flexibility around that right now for hard to fill areas, hard to fill geographical areas. So most of our teachers can come right back to work after a certain amount of time off payroll. So that was our first big win with the committee. We continued to move forward with a recommendation around pay to start our first year teachers, but not just our first year teachers, the entire salary schedule. So we actually adjusted the schedule by $5,000 per cell, all the way up to that step 40. And at the time, we gave a $5,000 supplement, which was, I don't really care for supplements. I like something that's part of the entire schedule, so it's more long term. So we rolled into that year with a starting salary for teachers, brand new teachers right out of college, of 48,000, which was huge. In 2018, for example, we were paying 36,000 for
Wow.
a first year teacher. So pretty significant jump there.
I'm curious. I mean, it sounds like you all are a state leader when it comes to teacher compensation, empowering teachers. I love those examples. And I'm sure in the district, you all have very tough jobs or tough roles to fill, like probably in the STEM areas, special education. Are you doing anything else, Bill, in terms of attracting those sort of top teaching talent, especially for those hard to fill roles, beyond compensation?
Actually, for math teachers, math was one of our more difficult areas to fill. Special ed is for every district as well. We've offered different types of sign on bonuses for special ed. Most recently, looking at a separate salary schedule for special ed, and I'll comment on what we're doing with teacher schedule where we are now in general, which has really caused us to pause on a separate salary schedule for our special ed teachers. We did roll out in 2018-19 school year a math schedule for secondary math teachers at our more high poverty schools where we had more difficulty recruiting math. And that was one of the first, it really validated this whole conversation and need to compensate teachers at a higher amount, a higher salary. As you know, let's just say over the decades, this has been a very old conversation, whether it's at the state level, superintendent, school boards, about teacher pay. We've When you ask anyone of any generation, I mean, everyone knows that teachers make less than other professionals. I mean, it's been around forever. I mean, that's pretty common knowledge. But the math salary schedule that year, we had 44 math vacancies that particular school year. They were all filled. Only 4 were brand new right out of college. The rest were experienced teachers that came from neighboring districts. So it was really amazing to see what the impact was to bump that schedule higher than the regular teacher schedule. And so that was somewhat of a foundation of really being able to show what the data looks like around the fill rates and the retention. So that was huge. So that was specifically for math. One of the other areas that we also struggled with was our media centers for our teacher librarians. And again, looking at the fact that I have 3,800 teachers on staff, there have to be teachers among the 38 that would love to be in the library every day, in the media center, I should say library. So one of the innovative things that we jumped into, I contacted the University of South Carolina. They're the only institution in the state that offers a master's program for media. We immediately got a cohort of teachers that were interested. We basically paid tuition as long as they committed to being in the district. We're now at cohort 7. We do not have vacancies in our media centers. We're ready for anybody who's planning to depart or retire or whatever reason we might find ourselves with a vacancy. So I mean, those types of innovative, ideas of building your workforce based on what you need. So I'll comment going back to the special ed and the need for maybe some type of salary adjustment there. So I mentioned that 2024, our first year teachers, we were able to get to 48,000, and the goal of our committee was to get to 70 for a first year teacher. So I'm very excited to say for this upcoming school year, our first year teachers will start right at 65,000, which is huge for us in South Carolina. The state minimum probably this year may be 50,000. The state is trying to get to that level, but we are leading the state of South Carolina on teacher pay. And for me, honestly, as a South Carolinian, it's important for us to set the bar really high in Charleston because the entire state, we need teachers. So we need to pay our teachers. So I'm really excited about where we are. I just did an interview the other day with Ed Week on this very topic. And so it's getting a lot of momentum, which is really, really important.
That's fantastic. And I know Edweek, with their reach, your voice is going to be in those 50 states, and I think that's outstanding. I do want to pivot our conversation a little bit towards support and recognition. So
Sure.
how does the district support, especially early career teachers coming into the profession? We've all
Yes.
heard about, teachers, they tend to leave after the third or fourth year. And even though, starting salaries are fairly high, I mean,
Right.
what does CCSD do in addition to just beyond compensation?
A couple things, definitely. So I have a teacher recruitment team made up of 4 individuals. That's all they do is recruit. So it's not necessarily their role to support the teachers once they come on board, but however they do, they are very vested in who they've recruited. And I hear them on phone calls talking about trying to help someone find an apartment who's new to the area where they might want to live, those types of things, because Charleston County is very spread out. Then we also have a team through our Office of Teacher Effectiveness that works specifically with our brand new teachers. So brand new to the profession, because they go through a process to within 3 years, hopefully to be a continuing contract status, and then brand new to the actual district. So a more experienced teacher who comes to Charleston, just learning how to navigate the district and support there. And then we offer, as you know, because you've been to our black tie, our gala, our big event we have every year. That event is to raise money for professional development for our teachers. Our superintendent, Anita Huggins, who many years ago reported to me, and now I report to her since she's superintendent. Um, this was her brainchild many, many years ago. Back, I think it was 2014 or 13, that she started this black tie event to raise money for teachers for professional development. And so we have a week long institute in the summer for educators. Uh, and it's amazing because the money allows us to bring in really keynote speakers, national speakers, et cetera. So new teachers are at that event as well. It's just amazing what she has brought to the district as the superintendent, because her vision or her goal and what she knows is that the victory's in the classroom, and you've got to have the talent in the classrooms. That has always been my philosophy as well. I think all employees that are part of a school district are vital and important to the system, but teachers are the most important person that's in the system as far as experience. So supporting teachers, as you know, one of our teachers a couple months ago was recognized with a vehicle that we have a local dealership that donates for a year. Before we had that actual event, going back to, I think it was around 2001 through HR, I actually led something with our local BMW dealership, where the teacher of the year for us actually got a BMW. It was a BMW, and then it went to a Volvo, and then it went to one of the Mini Coopers. But they always got some type of nice import car to drive for the year, and that was modeled after our state, which we have BMW manufacturer here in South Carolina, and they give the state teacher of the year BMW to drive. So we've really, and Anita Huggins, our superintendent, kind of went hand in hand years ago, when she worked in HR, and she actually led the Office of Teacher Effectiveness on just how to really support teachers. Um, our mentoring program for our new teachers has gotten a lot of state recognition around just really creating cohorts of new teachers that come together for various things. They would call it chat and chew. So after leaving a long day of school, we'll feed you. Come, let's talk about what's happening in schools, what's happening, to better support you. So a lot goes on in the district around supporting teachers, and the recruitment staff that go out to various colleges and universities or different recruitment events. One of the first things they ask their candidates they're talking to, and tell them, make sure wherever you go, whatever district you sign on to as a first year teacher, that you've got the support you need, because that support's vital. And that plays back into the compensation piece. If a teacher can't make ends meet, brand new teacher, and they are waiting tables at night or found another part-time job, their skills to be a teacher, what's happening there? They need to focus just on being a teacher. I think in the past, I've probably made a couple principals a little upset because we've had brand new teachers right out of college. They really wanted to teach, but really wanted to coach. And I'm like, you need to focus on teaching. Let's get this under your belt before coaching is very important.
And, I've had the benefit of attending the teacher recognition ball twice. And as you know, I've said to you on those two occasions that I don't know any other district in any state that honors or their teachers the way that Charleston County School District does, which is amazing.
It is. It's such an amazing night. And to
Yeah.
see all of our teachers who are there and who are attending and everyone dressed in formal attire, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of excitement. So, Bill, I just kind of want to switch gears, something that's obviously near and dear to my heart around substitute teachers.
Sure.
And of course, I know that how much of a vital role that they do play in the district. So, how do you think about integrating those professionals? What do you think about substitute teachers as part of really the overall talent supply chain, if you will, in terms of supporting daily operations?
Well, our substitute teachers and the pool that we have, I believe we have about 1,800 subs, as I understand it, give or take, in the pool of subs for Charleston County School District. And our fill rate is just amazing. It's 95 or higher percent. Our principals, what I've seen over time, they don't worry about whether they're going to have a substitute teacher when someone calls out or when a teacher's out for professional development. And that's something that's changed in the last 5 or 6 years. The comfort that they know that it's going to be taken care of, that they're going to have somebody, whether it's a long-term sub, because we've filled some vacancies that maybe weren't able to be filled, or with some really high quality substitute teachers who are former teachers themselves who might be retired. The compensation structure for our substitute teachers has really increased over the last couple of years too, to really attract the talent we need. So our substitute teachers who have been a daily sub every day in buildings as well play a really important part of the team that's there. So it's really, over my 2 decades or however long I've been in the district, when substitute teachers were in-house for us and we recruited our own substitute teachers, we just didn't have the manpower or the bandwidth to really screen and train and support. And so it's just a whole different system now. It's amazing to see how much principals value it and trust the fact that they're going to have subs and they're going to be high quality subs, because we were never really able to offer that. So that part of it's just been amazing. So our substitute teachers are really an important part of the team, whether they just go to one particular school or they go to multiple schools throughout the year.
And I also think it's an opportunity for those substitute teachers that potentially could be candidates for full-time teaching, especially with your alternative credentialing program there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great way for someone who maybe has thought about teaching, maybe to experience that, maybe see, do I really want to be in an elementary environment? Do I want to be in the middle or high? And you're right. We've had substitute teachers that know about our program, our Teach Charleston program, which is of no cost to them. Like, instead of going back to get a master's degree in education or whatnot, if they have a degree, we can pretty much get them in some track. So that's critical because this is a recruitment tool for us.
And I think it's great because it is definitely a benefit of the program overall. So
Absolutely.
So, Bill, you've given us a lot of different things to think about, especially how to empower teachers, especially, contributing, their perspectives on compensations. What you've done with the pay scale is, I think, an amazing example, not only for the state, but actually any district that's listening in nationwide.
Right.
So, my last and final question for you, sir, for other HR and education leaders that are listening in today, what's one action they can take right now to strengthen their own workforce?
I would say, when I mentioned the teachers being really involved in that compensation piece, and I know some states and some districts, have unions and other. We do not in South Carolina. We do have some local teacher, associations that are vocal in a positive way. But I think really engaging teachers in these conversations, and what I experienced with the committee, our teachers that were part of the committee, and then as it grew, it was amazing to me because I was getting, with 3,800 teachers, I don't know all of our teachers, but this gave me an opportunity to really get to know a lot of our teachers, whether it was just via email or text messages, because somehow my number was getting out there.
Yeah.
And because now the board meetings are always, on YouTube or what have you, people watching and sending me a message about when we were presenting, because we presented multiple times. But in just your teacher workforce, letting them be a voice and be part of this conversation, I think is really, really critical. one of our lead teacher leaders who was part of this group, who I admire so much, he told me, he said, when I went to the first meeting, Bill, he said, I just figured this was the chief level person trying to make us feel good, and this was going to go nowhere. I mean, and now he's like, I can't believe what's happened. And, one of the things I told the group, it was really important to me, just there are so many other ways to recruit, retain when it comes to benefits, leave, teacher planning time, all of those types of things. But we're just going to focus on pay, because too many times people say, or you hear, whether it's at the state level or board, say, well, we can't really increase the pay to this, but maybe we can offer an additional professional development day or additional fill in the blank. Well, we need compensation because our teachers can't afford to live here.
Right.
So we're not going to have, I think at some point I actually said to a board member, you're not going to have to worry about this because we're not going to have any teachers because teachers can't afford Charleston. So I'm lucky I didn't get fired. But anyway.
Yeah. No, I think that's excellent. So Bill, this kind of concludes our episode, but I want to say thank you for your insights, and all of the work that you do for Charleston County definitely sets an example for the state and nationwide, as I said before. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Once again, I'd like to thank Bill Briggman for sharing his time and insights with us, and for his continued leadership in shaping a stronger, more equitable future for educators. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please consider leaving us a rating or a review. It helps us to reach more listeners like you. I'm Nicola Soares, and I look forward to having you with us again next time on Wake Up and Teach. Take care.
This podcast was produced in partnership with Amaze Media Labs.